Hello and welcome to Hollywood at Home from Arizona Public Media. I'm Victoria Lucas. Tonight's movie is the 1955 Warner Brothers classic Rebel Without a Cause, featuring outstanding performances by young stars James Dean, Natalie Wood, and Sal Mineo. It's a powerful coming-of-age drama focused on alienated middle-class teenagers from good families who feel stifled and trapped in suburbia. Writer-director Nicholas Ray had explored the subject of society's outsiders with his earlier films, including They Live by Night and In a Lonely Place. And he had great empathy for the confused and anxious young generation of the mid-50s. Their fast-emerging teen culture, with its new music, language, and attitude towards sexuality, seemed threatening and incomprehensible to many adults. But teens were eager to see their own lives reflected on the screen after decades of noir detectives, syrupy romances, and screwball comedies. Studios had quickly recognized the potential of this underrepresented teen audience, releasing The Wild One in 1954 and Blackboard Jungle the following year. But Ray wanted to find a story that veered away from the usual Hollywood concept of juvenile delinquency, as it was then called, as a problem only among lower-income people. So in September of 1954, Nicholas Ray wrote a 17-page outline for a film about three alienated middle-class teenagers told entirely through their eyes. He submitted the concept to Warner Brothers, telling the studio, "The teens should always be in the foreground. Adults should be seen only as the kids see them." Warner Brothers not only bought the treatment, they hired Ray to develop the full script and direct. Ray and co-writer Stuart Stern then spent considerable time at a Los Angeles County juvenile hall, absorbing the atmosphere and interviewing a number of the troubled young detainees. As Stern later said, "These kids needed someone they could talk to, someone who would listen. It was very, very important to me to spend time with them before we wrote the script. They provided such great insight into the problems, feelings, and motivations of our characters." But perhaps even more than the script, Ray knew that the success of the film would depend on casting extraordinary actors for the lead roles, starting with James Dean. Dean had appeared in multiple TV episodes before feature director Elia Kazan spotted him to play the lead in East of Eden. And as filming had progressed on that movie, it became clear in Hollywood that James Dean was going to be a major star. Director Ray knew he would be perfect for Rebel Without a Cause, but Dean had been offered a number of roles, and the people around the young actor were encouraging him to make a prestige studio film rather than a little black and white movie without even a finished script. So, following their advice, Dean committed to the big-budget epic Giant. But when filming on Giant was delayed because of Elizabeth Taylor's pregnancy, Dean was suddenly free to make a different movie. Warner Brothers wanted him on board, so to entice him, they upgraded Rebel Without a Cause, increasing the budget, adding days to the shooting schedule, and filming in color rather than black and white. Simultaneously, Ray was thinking about his female lead. Natalie Wood had been a successful child star, charming audiences in movies like Miracle on 34th Street. But now, at almost 16, she knew she needed to move upward to more adult roles or fade away. She desperately wanted the part in Rebel, but the director wasn't sure she was ready yet. Until Wood went out partying one night with a group of friends and was involved in a fender bender. The media pounced on the story, of course, but instead of being upset, Wood rushed to tell Nicholas Ray, "Guess what? The police called me a juvenile delinquent. Now do I get the part?" Well, faced with such logic, Ray could only laugh and say, "Okay, it's yours." Natalie Wood later maintained that Rebel Without a Cause was the film in which she grew up and committed to acting as her career. Ray then chose another former child actor, Sal Mineo, to play the troubled and insecure friend who idolizes Dean. Mineo had studied acting in New York, working in theater and early television before his breakout role in Rebel Without a Cause made him a teen idol. And Ray made a daring move when he cast Jim Backus as Dean's loving but weak father. You may remember that Backus was known mainly for comedy at that time, playing the husband on the I Married Joan television series and, perhaps most famously, voicing the cartoon character Mr. Magoo. To help make the film as authentic as possible, Ray cast Frank Mazzola as one of the gang that torments Dean. Mazzola had been an actual street gang member while a student at Hollywood High School, and he served as technical advisor on the film, coaching the other actors on gang attitudes and mannerisms. Ray also brought in a professor of criminology to analyze and work with the actors on the psychological motives of their characters. The shoot itself was both creative and chaotic. Director Ray encouraged the actors to improvise, and James Dean, who, like Montgomery Clift and Marlon Brando, was a method actor, took full advantage of that creative freedom, often to the consternation of the older, more by-the-script actors. And the famous Chicken Run car race, whose start you'll recognize from the opening montage of our show, was inspired by a real-life event Ray had read about in the newspaper. The sequence was shot in 3 segments. First, at a Warner Brothers property just outside of Los Angeles, where the cars raced on flat land. Next came a studio special effects model shot, added later, of one car going over a cliff and exploding. And finally, the actors standing atop that cliff looking down at the aftermath were on a soundstage set with the footage of rocks and ocean below added in post-production. Rebel opened in theaters in October 1955. Reviews were mixed, with many critics shocked by the movie's violence and sexuality, by mid-50s standards anyway. Many audiences saw the perceived moral decay of the country in the teen characters, but young people felt it accurately portrayed their feelings of alienation and uncertainty about the future. As Natalie Wood said about Dean's character, he's not rebelling against society. He isn't saying, "Leave me alone, I don't want anything to do with you." He's saying, "Listen to me, hear me, love me." With his performance, Dean became a legend, an icon, and a cultural phenomenon, the symbol of youthful rebellion. The film went on to become Warner Brothers' second highest-grossing film of the year, receiving 3 Oscar nominations: Best Screenplay for Nicholas Ray and Best Supporting Actor and Actress for both Sal Mineo and Natalie Wood. So now please sit back and enjoy this powerful film about 24 hours in the life of 3 American teenagers. From 1955, it's Rebel Without a Cause.